The heat map is undefeated. The heat map never loses. It's always right. It's insane how accurate that meme has become. The outgroup preference of the white liberal is just insane to me. Even when it comes to people who murder your family. You know, this reminds me of the woman in New York whose boyfriend, I believe it was her boyfriend or husband, whatever it was. The finer details escape me, but he was murdered by a black guy, and she like refused to testify against him because she thought the justice system was racist. It's an evil world we live in. These people are fucking crazy. But daughter of woman murdered by a man who the U.S. deported speaks out. He was denied due process. Who cares? Was he a citizen? No, then fuck him. He doesn't get due process. Not only was he not a citizen, but he was a fucking murderer. He doesn't get due process. Simple as. He got due process when he was put on trial and convicted of murder. And that's more due process than he fucking deserved. The daughter of a woman murdered by a man from Laos, who is among one of the, rare instances of Asian crime, who is among those controversially deported from the U.S. to South Sudan, has spoken out about her family's pain, but also to decry the lack of rights afforded to those who were expelled to countries other than their own. Yeah, I don't care where he was deported to. Fuck him. Why did the Sudanese take him though? Like, did we just like show up with a plane full of criminals? And be like, we're leaving these here, bye. Or did we got some kind of deal worked out with this with Sudan, South Sudan? I have to look into that more. Uh, Britt Fledger, I'm not sure. She's German. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that name properly. Lives in Los Angeles and was a history student at Cal State University in Long Beach when her parents came to visit her from their native Germany in 1994 and ended up shot by Thongze Nilakaut. Fucking Con Supanusenpone. During a robbery while on a sightseeing trip. Flegger's mother, or Fledger, I'm not sure. I'm gonna say Ja because it's or Guh because it's a G, and I'm sure it would be Jur for some reason. I'm sure somebody could explain to me why it is, but I'm gonna go with Gur. Flegger's mother, Gisela, was killed, and her father Klaus was wounded. Nikolaut, now 48, is Laotian and was among 8 convicted criminals from countries including Mexico, Cuba, Vietnam, and Myanmar who were deported to the conflict-torn African country amid uproar over Donald Trump's extreme immigration policies. You mean his extremely based immigration policies? In an interview with The Guardian, Fletcher said, I've been 31 years living with the irreparable pain and permanent grief. So on the one hand, I wanted him gone. On the other hand, I'm a historian and I have taught constitutional history. He was denied due process, and that's a constitutional problem. Was he, though? He wasn't even a citizen. The government of South Sudan has not disclosed the men's exact whereabouts since arriving in the country earlier this month after legal problems had caused them to be stuck in nearby Djibouti. Djibouti after legal wrangling and or provided any detail about their future. A lawyer representing the men said their situation is fragile, noting their relatives have not heard from the deportees since a U.S. military plane flew them to Juba, South Sudan's capital, before midnight on the 4th of July. Like, I don't care. Like, if these people weren't citizens and they were violent criminals, then I genuinely don't give a shit about their due process. Get them the fuck out. Like, I don't care. Like, oh, but what about the Constitution? That applies to American citizens and permanent residents, not to foreign criminals, foreign murderers, even. Quote, they will be investigated. The truth will be established, and if they are not South Sudanese, they will be deported to their rightful countries, Inoka said. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the sentence. A police spokesperson in South Sudan, Major General James Monday Inoka, indicated that the men may ultimately be moved on. They will be investigated, the truth will be established, and if they are not South Sudanese, they will be deported to their rightful countries, Anoka said. But few details are forthcoming. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security called the men sickos. The deportations had been initially blocked by U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy, who had ruled that the group needed to receive notice and due process before being taken to South Sudan, including the opportunity to express fear of being harmed or tortured there. Uh, you could make that claim about anywhere we would deport you to. A lot of these people claim they're going to be harmed and tortured in their home countries. Like, I don't care. I don't buy it. I don't. You're like, I don't give a shit about your civil liberties. I don't care. Fuck you. You're not an American. Get the fuck out of my country. You're not an American, and you're a violent criminal. Get the fuck out. But in a 7-2 ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court paused Murphy's orders, clearing all obstacles preventing the Trump administration's plan. Yeah, highest court in the land said this was perfectly legal. So, eat a dick. Just days after the ruling, the administration issued a memo suggesting officials would ramp up deportations to third countries with little notice or due process, or little notice and due process. The directive by Todd Lyons, acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, said U.S. officials may deport migrants to countries other than their own with as little as 6 hours' notice, even if those third-party nations have not made assurances about their safety. Who cares about their safety? Their safety is not our concern. This Laotian guy didn't care about the safety of Americans that he was going to hurt when he was robbing places, and he didn't even kill Americans. He killed Germans. And I'm still pissed off about it. He killed otherwise well-to-do white people in my country. He can go get the fuck out. Legal experts have objected. We're going to continue to fight the policy that conflicts with the statute, the regulations, and with the Constitution, said Trina Realmuto. I'm not sure how you'd pronounce that either. Executive Director of the National Immigration Litigation Alliance, an organization leading a class action lawsuit against ICE. Hopefully, a judge throws that shit out, because I don't care. The UN Human Rights Office denounced the action and urged the U.S. to halt deportations to third-party countries. More than 250 Venezuelans have just been repatriated after being deported by the U.S. without due process to a brutal anti-terrorism prison in El Salvador. Yeah, we shouldn't have taken them back. They should have stayed. Previously, a multinational group of migrants was sent to Panama from the U.S. and ended up trapped in a hotel, then caged in a jungle setting, while more recently another group was deported to the tiny African kingdom of Eswatini, which critics there described as human trafficking and lamented the prospect of more to follow. No, get them out. Get them out of here. Get them the hell out of here. I genuinely don't care where we dump them off at. Let's dump them off on a fucking uninhabited island. Like, I don't care. As long as they're out of the country, I don't give a shit where they go. International law is clear that no one shall be sent anywhere where there are substantial grounds for believing that the person would be in danger of being subjected to serious human rights violations such as torture, enforced disappearance, or arbitrary deprivation of life, the UN said in a statement. A, fuck the UN. Nobody cares what they think. And B, what about the arbitrary deprivation of life that these people inflicted on Americans whenever they committed crimes in our country? Huh? This Laotian guy murdered 2 people, or tried to murder 2 people, only successfully murdered one of them. Like, what about the deprivation of the life of those 2 Germans who he killed in, California, or what was it? Was it L.A.? Was it in L.A.? Scroll back up. No, in Long Beach, not Los Angeles, Long Beach, my bad. The LBC, as it were. Just days after the rule, but in a 7-2 rule. I already read that part. My bad. Nilikout was 17 when he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for his murderous attack on Britt Flegger's parents. In 2012, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that life without parole was unconstitutional for minors. After nearly 30 years behind bars, Nilikout became eligible for parole in 2022. Despite a challenge from Flegger, and was released from a California state prison the following year. He was picked up in Trump's mass deportation dragnet after the Republican president returned to the White House in January. Based. Flegger, now a history professor at Cal State University. She studied at the university she now works at. The pipeline continues. She said she felt conflicted when she found out about Nicolau had been deported to South Sudan. Quote, the moral dilemma here is that he should never have been let out of prison, but once he was released from prison, I should have but once he was released from prison, I should have been able to deport him or should have self-deported to Laos. But of course, what happened is he was put on a Gulfstream jet headed for South Sudan that violated a federal judge's orders to give notice. He and the others were denied due process, she said. Even if they were, that's the thing. I'll even concede that, yeah, they were denied due process, but they don't deserve due process. Fuck them. These are all convicted criminals. Fuck them. Flegger continued, I am not involved in victims' rights organizations or anything like that. I have not gone to law school, but I have read the Constitution and the history of it, and I think that due process rights are fundamental, and when they are no longer fundamental, we have a problem. They are fundamental to natural-born American citizens, legally naturalized American citizens, and permanent residents. Like, not to, foreign filth who come here and murder people. Sorry, not sorry. The pain for Flegger and her sister of losing their mother and their father being wounded, having watched his wife get shot and being unable to help her, persists, and the family has not expected Nicolau to be freed, she said, adding that her father, Klaus, is 93 and frail. My mom was everything to him, she said. In a statement, the government of South Sudan cited the long-standing support extended by the United States during its fight for independence and its post-independence development for the latest cooperation. Okay, so the South Sudanese government is willingly taking these criminals. Okay, fair enough. Between 2013 and 2016, a civil war killed 400,000 people in South Sudan. Earlier this year, the threat of a new war breaking out pushed the U.S. Embassy to issue a level 4 warning to Americans not to go to South Sudan because of crime, kidnapping, and armed conflict there. The German government recently warned via the foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock, posting on social media that after years of fragile peace, South Sudan is again on the brink of war. The UN Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan warned, we are witnessing an alarming regression that could erase years of hard-won public progress. The UN added that a humanitarian crisis was looming with half the country already suffering food insecurity and 2 million internally displaced, with a further 2 million having fled the violence to seek sanctuary in neighboring countries. Yeah, if you're gonna seek like asylum, do it in countries like near your country. Don't like migrate. Don't pilgrimage all the way to the United States. If you're an African nation citizen and you're fleeing war, go to a different African nation that isn't like entrenched in war. Don't come here. We don't want you. We don't have space for you. And if you're going to come here and commit crimes, like commit murder, even if you're just like, either you're going to kill people who aren't even like citizens of this country, you're going to kill people just visiting, tourists who are just here to sightsee and kind of visit, the greatest country on earth. And they want to come here and see what all the hubbub's about. And then you just murder them. No, we're not good with that either. No, like I don't care about due process. And like I said, the heat map wins again. She's more concerned. Well, okay, to be fair, seems to be about 50% concerned with the legality here, but also concerned with the fact that this guy got let out of prison in the first place. But still, the heat map wins again. Her outgroove preference, the fact that she's a shit lib, a European shit lib, is just like, it's coming out, and she can barely muster like the strength to completely condemn this man and embrace what this country has done to get him the fuck out. Shitlib's gonna shitlib. What can I say? Yeah, feel free to comment below and tell me, if you agree or disagree or what your take on this whole thing is, and smash the like button. And if you're not sub. And check out the game streams on Cloud World Gaming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Check out Cloud World Chronicles on Saturday morning, and throw me a bone.